Every time you turn on the TV, there's chaos. Every time you log on to social media, there's chaos. Every time you walk outside, there's chaos. Chaos is happening every single day, every single second in the United States of America, and there is no escaping it. Chaos is the name of the game. Chaos is the control mechanism, how they keep the people under wraps, right? This is how they keep you emotionally dependent. This is how they keep you emotionally and psychologically erratic. Chaos, right? And as I'm sitting down eating my Thanksgiving dinner, right? You would think there would just be you would think everybody's home, right? You would think that everybody's enjoying their family. You would think things would be cool, calm, and collected throughout the whole entire holidays, right? You would think there would be no headline story, right? You would think, right? But this is America, right? And lo and behold, while I'm eating my turkey, right? While I'm digging into my dressing, I see the headline news, right? Two National Guard members shot down in DC. And as of today, I believe one has passed away, right? And rest in peace to that young lady. As a soldier myself, who, right? Uh, that's not something that you ever want to see domestically or internationally. You don't want to see, period, right? And I'm not here to get into the politics of that, people screaming left and right. Like, you know what? Let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's actually talk about it, right? I wasn't going to dive too deep into it, but let's actually talk about the idiocy of people today. So, right, people can't even die in peace, right? Even death, even death today is political, right? You can't even die in peace, right? Right? Nothing can happen today in the United States without it being political, right? You shaking somebody's hand, right? Whether it was too tight or too loose, political. Yeah, he must be a liberal, right? Limp wristed ass ninja, right? Oh, he likes to eat only organic. What kind of man is that? You going into the grocery store and only eating organic? Yeah, he must be a liberal, right? You don't have a diesel engine. You don't have a diesel engine, ninja, right? You can't breathe when you're driving, right? Yeah, he must be, right? Nothing that we do anymore can just not just be just by itself, right? Everything we do, every event that happens, right? It has to be made into this political nonsense, and this floats into the chaos and the madness that I'm talking about, right? I can't even sit back and enjoy my turkey, right? I can't even sit back because it's everywhere. It's plastered all everywhere. It's plastered on the headline news, plastered all on social media, right? You can't just even sit still for a moment, right? You can't just be off work, right? You're already stressed from work. You're already stressed from bills. You're already stressed from everything else that's going on, right? You just want to sit home for 2 days, right? You want to sit home for 2 days and just enjoy a meal without any riffraff, without any chaos. And lo and behold, we have chaos, right? The family said we're not going to talk about politics at the table, right? They said that we're not going to talk about politics at the table, right? Everything was all free and clear, and then boom, Papa, y'all know, two National Guard service members got gunned down in D.C. I told you that damn Biden, or vice versa. See, Trump shouldn't have had those guys out there. He shouldn't have had those guys out there. Now look, he using them as policemen, and they shouldn't be policing civilians. This is what happens, right? It just goes back and forth. It's never ending cycle, right? Never ending cycle of psychological chaos, never ending cycle of emotional chaos, never ending cycle of chaoticness all around us. It's never ending, right? And this is what y'all call peace, right? Some of you think America is just so peaceful. This is what y'all call peace, right? Bombarded with chaos every single day, right? Chaotic people every single day, right? This is the America that we live in right now, right? There is no peace in America right now, right? And quite frankly, I believe that there may never be any peace in America because one thing that they need to have you under control, right? They need to have you fearful. They need to have you fearful of everything, right? They need you fearful of the white man. Yeah. They need you fearful of him, his destructive ass. Yeah. They need you fearful of the blacks. Yeah, them ninjas in the inner city, right? Causing all kinds of mayhem, rioting and BLM, right? They need you fearful of the immigrants. These damn Mexicans taking our jobs. They need you fearful of everybody, right? They need you fearful of change, right? They need you fearful of losing your job, right? They need you fearful of whatever else, the LGBT, right? They need you fearful, right? Instead of understanding, right? Because the one reason chaos exists because there's no balance, right? And the reason why there's no balance is because there's a lack of understanding, right? And because of the lack of understanding, you have a bunch of chaos, right? But they intend on keeping it that way. Who do you mean? Who intends to keep it that way? Start naming names, Tap. You know who, right? You know who intends on keeping it that way. At this point, I'm not even sure if the people who are in power are the ones truly in power at all, right? Can't be. Can't be at this point, right? We are literally going through, this is literally psychological warfare, right? This is literally emotional warfare, spiritual warfare, right? The constant chaos, this is not normal, right? And we shouldn't normalize it. To be quite frank with you, this is not normal, right? School shootings are not normal. And you know what's so funny, and I'm gonna bring this up because it's important. Right. Schools have been getting shot up since I'm 29 years old. Schools have been getting shot up since as long as I can remember, 12, 13 years old, when I first really start keeping track and remembering this stuff. Schools have been getting shot up for the longest, right? And nothing has been done. Schools continue to get shot up at this moment and nothing ever gets done, right? So what that tells me is that America don't give a damn about the children. They don't give a damn about the future. They don't give a damn about the adolescents. They don't care, right? But it's so funny, right? It's so funny that as soon as a immigrant does something, a national does something, right? Now they're trying to pass sweeping legislation, right? I find that quite odd, don't you? Right? As many years as schools have been getting shot up, the countless amount of children who have been slaughtered, right, on our hands, on our watch, right, by fellow Americans, right, no sweeping legislation till this day, right? And I'm not against guns, so don't try to come at me with that angle. I'm not against guns, right? I got a few of them, right? I got a few of them for one of you ninjas who want to get wrong, right? Right? I got the 12, I got the 12 gauge gauge, I got the 5.56, and yeah. Anyway, right? So I'm not against guns, right? But I do have common sense, right? I'm not against guns, but I do have a brain that works, and you can clearly see that something needs to be done. And we don't stay in a society of 1776, right? We stay in a society where there's a prominent that you can gain access to guns regardless of what state you're in, regardless of how relaxed or restrictive that state is. Guns are easily accessible, and they're accessible to everybody. You don't know people's mental state at that moment, right? Or ever, really, right? So I'm not against the guns, but clearly there's something that needs to be done. However, nobody's doing anything about it. So we're going to continue to see that on that front. But it's just so funny that as soon as one immigrant does something, right, which is probably the plan all along, I'm just saying. But as soon as one immigrant does something, now, oh, we need to pass sweeping legislation to prevent this from happening. Well, what about the kids? It was so easy. It was so easy for y'all to do that with this one immigrant guy, Afghan national. But as many Americans that have basically shot up everywhere, there's no sweeping legislation. And this brings it back to the same old thing. Donald Trump is not America first. He's not. Because even when attempting to solve an issue, he's solving an issue because an immigrant did it. Right? He's solving an issue because someone who wasn't from here did it, right? What about all the issues that are arising with Americans, right? What about all the underlying issues that are happening with Americans, causing them to act out in these destructive manners? Still no help. Still nothing, right? We're still left in the wilderness. Still no economic plan. See, people are going to eat this up. I'm not eating this up, right? God rest the young lady's soul. God rest, the soldier, who was taken away from us, right? But I'm gonna still keep my head on the swivel, and I'm not going to bow down to propaganda, right? This is still going to be. This is just going to be. Trump is not going to be able to do nothing else but push this immigration narrative. That's all he's going to be able to do. If there's nothing else that he ran on is going to get done, I'm going to tell you that right now. Nothing else that he ran on is going to get done. He's going to have to push the whole immigration the whole way. Right? And it's just to appease the base. That's it. Right? It is to appease the anger that everybody feels for the economic turmoil that we're in right now. Right? Because we all know when things are in chaos, people need somebody to blame. So who else to blame but your neighbor? Who else to blame but the immigrants? Who else to blame but the president and the administration, right? Blame Joe Biden, right? The ninja gonna keep on blaming Joe Biden until he get out of term, right? Listen, chaos. It is a tool for control. Chaos. Like I've said before, you can either get sucked into the chaos, right? Or you can find the opportunity within the chaos. And that's what I'm doing, right? I'm clearing the sky, right? I'm looking and seeing what's going on, and I'm making moves while everybody eat all this up, right? People are eating it all up. And people get stuck on this stuff. People get psychologically stuck on this. This is why there's no forward movement mentally in the United States of America. We're still stuck. America is a stuck people, right? Americans are a stuck people. They can't move forward because psychologically we're still children. Psychologically, we're immature. Emotionally, we're immature. Right? Many adults that I meet are just merely children, they're kids. Even the ones older than me, 20 years my senior. Kids, children, right? The men, docile, playful, right? Non-serious, right? Just all over the place. Chaotic environments create chaotic people. And this is what we're seeing, right? And they're going to continue to push chaos. They're going to continue to make the American people erratic, emotional, right? Because guess what? Especially as men, right? What happens when you're struggling, and then on top of that, you're emotionally erratic, psychologically unstable, right? What does that create? Ask yourself, what does that create? It further creates a chaotic society. It further creates a degenerate society. It further creates the have and have nots. It further creates, right, the finger pointing, the blame game, right? Because nobody can think critically anymore because you're under duress, you're mentally unstable, psychologically wore down, and emotionally tired. And that's an after pill. If you want to escape this madness, join the PFP Life Patreon in the description below. Also, you can become a YouTube member, support the message, and support the PFP movement, purpose, freedom, and power. This is the After Pill. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. I built a life. I built a family. I worked my hands raw to get here, and I'm not done. This is the escape blueprint, PFP Life, a way out of the grind and into control. You'll learn how I stack cash, build systems, and reclaim time so you can live on your own terms. You will watch me maneuver and grind towards the life that I achieve for myself, and you can also do the same. Join the circle, join the Patreon, learn the steps, and protect your freedom. The Escape Blueprint, PFP Life.